ladies and gentlemen, let me suggest to you that the reports of our demise, to paraphrase Samuel Clemens, are premature. First of all, there's going to be an awful lot that Chris is going to have to be able to run on beyond his own record. The contrast with guys like Chris and their opponents is stark. It's absolutely stark, and it's never been more stark and more exposed than it is today, right here in the state of Delaware and across the country. You know, most Americans are a lot smarter and a lot tougher than either political party thinks they are. I don't think it's gone unnoticed that our Republican colleagues, while we've been going through this crisis, have literally sat on the sidelines and carped, sat on the sidelines and voted against their own initiatives because they've made a basic judgment, Chris. They believe the only way they can succeed is if we fail. When we believe the only way we can succeed is if we trust the American people and make some really tough decisions. So, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at what he brings. He brings energy, he brings a toughness, he brings an unbreakable commitment to getting things done, while the other team has decided the best thing to do is vote differently than you have the past 20 years. Go out there and make sure you say nothing that is controversial, and don't get yourself engaged in some of the really hard decisions that have to be made. Look, folks, Chris and I both know, like Tom does, there's still too much pain here in Delaware. There's too much pain throughout this country. But I think the American people also know that our Republican friends have done virtually nothing to help. I know what they're against, but have you heard anything that they're for? Have you heard what they would have done to stabilize the financial institution of this country? Can you name for me what they have done that would have begun to revitalize industry in this country? Can you tell me what they've done and what they would do in order to make sure that we deal with the long-term debt by dealing with entitlements? Just go down the list. What are they for? I know what they're against. I mean this sincerely. What are they for? So, folks, Chris and the governor and I were speaking a moment ago in the back, and my grandpop used to have an expression, and you always kid me, my grandpop and pop had a lot of expressions, but it's true. He'd say, Joey, you have to have somebody to beat somebody. I would say you have to have an idea to beat an idea. They've offered no ideas. And folks, right now, those people who are worried and frightened because of what they've been through and what they're still engaged in, what they're still struggling to overcome. A lot of them are angry. But folks, come September, they're going to have to make a decision. They're going to have to start to look. You have to have somebody to beat somebody. What's the other team for? What have they delivered? By the time we roll around to this election, you're going to find that Sarah Palin's death panels have not materialized. Small business people are going to find they get a 35% tax credit for those people who they're paying for their portion of their health insurance now. They're going to find that, in fact, we're in a situation where you're already learning you can't disqualify a family for health care because their child has diabetes or a pre-existing condition. They're going to find that they're able to keep their 23 and 24-year-old child on their health care policy when they have no alternative as a practical matter. They're going to find that people are keeping their insurance at lower cost and they're not being thrown off the rolls. Ladies and gentlemen, they're also going to find that, in fact, we're going to continue to increase jobs. We're going to continue to build jobs. You know, I find it fascinating. Everybody who showed up at the GM plant when Fisker, in fact, took over to claim about how they didn't want government involved when it was a $450 million loan from the federal government that was engineered in order to keep that plant going, that will ultimately employ over 1,000 people, up to 2,000 people, making a good wage you can raise a middle-class family on. I find it fascinating. They show up at the ribbon cuttings for the things that Tom and Mike and Ted Kaufman are out there because they voted for it. In fact, opening new roads, highways, buildings, classrooms, etc. Folks, the American people will be able to see through this. The people of Delaware will be able to see through this. I may not be good at much, but I've been pretty good at Delaware politics and figuring out the people in my home state. They're a lot smarter, as I said, than anybody gives them credit for. And you know, as I see it, as Chris sees it, it's really not, this is going to sound like hyperbole, but it really is not about the next election. It's about the next generation. It literally is about the next generation. And there's no easy way to right the ship these guys almost sunk. And folks, if we take care of the next generation, I promise you, the next election is going to take care of itself. So I'm here to tell you, America's on its way back, Delaware is on its way back, and Chris Coons is on his way to Washington. Thank you for helping him. Thanks for everything. I appreciate it.